Now let's take a look at drawing the mouth and the lips. And I'm not going to deny that there is quite a fair bit of complexity in understanding the mouth. The mouth obviously isn't just the lips and an open space in between them. There's a lot of anatomy behind it, but I'm going to do my best to kind of simplify it for you and help you grasp it in a very straightforward way. So first off, we're going to start with looking at the skeleton. And when we have the human skeleton here, we have this very round section for our top jaw section, right? So it's very round, and from a top view or in a basic form view, it's very much shaped like half a sphere, basically. So we'd have something like this, and it kind of wraps around. And our top jaw section where our teeth would be here, kind of probably not at that scale, something like that, is really round. It's a very, very round section. I'll just draw in these extra elements to help us get the feeling. Just a very quick sketch here. So it's a very round section, and that's the first important thing we want to recognize, is really how round and how curved the top jaw is, right? Because that has implications for how we want to draw the lips. So notice this curve, right? How curved the top jaw is, and of course the bottom jaw is equally curved. And then when we're thinking about the bottom jaw, right, it connects down here, the bone starts connecting down, it comes down to the front like this, and from the other side like that, and then it has the bottom teeth in it, and it is also very round, right? It's very much a basic view here. It is also very round and very cylindrical in a sense, right? Not a full cylinder, about half a cylinder. So very much like this. And this is the basic form and the basic shape of the mouth that I really want you to constantly grasp, that this is really cylindrical from below the nose just to kind of before we hit the base of the chin. Well, even the chin itself is quite cylindrical. Okay, and then it moves up into the other bone structures. So underneath the face, we really have this cylinder type of structure. I'm just going to reinforce it in blue here. We want to know that this section of the mouth really is very, very round. Okay, very, very round. It curves around from a bottom view. This with the jaw. Here, the mouth would be curving around like this. It's quite a lot more extreme than you think it is. And even right now, go ahead and feel your mouth, close your mouth, feel your mouth. And just feel how round it is, how round that section of the face is. If you put your thumb here, your forefinger here, just kind of feel that section out. It's very, very round. Here's the bottom lip over here. All right. Okay. I think we should actually, I think we have that down, right? That it's a very round, right? It's very much circular. Okay. So keep that in mind. Very round. I know I've said it a million times. Just, it's so crucial that you remember this. Okay. So when we know that, when we understand that, and when we want to then draw the mouth on top of the head, we want to always then start by imagining, so here's kind of our head, our basic head form, right? Just another head. We know where to place the mouth, which is that third, but we want to remember that no matter what the expression is, the main mouth line generally will always curve. It looks like a smile right now. When we do facial expression and motion, we'll know how to manipulate this a bit more. But if I just add corners like that, it doesn't necessarily imply a smile, but we want to know that there's that roundness, right? The line should always generally have a curve, especially at a 3/4 angle. Okay, so first big rule, it's round. The jaw, the front of the jaw where the teeth are, really is round. Of course, we've seen those cartoons where they have the kind of little Granny's teeth, or the electronic clicker ones, you know, that they're usually chopping. I don't know why they were in old school cartoons. I think it's some kind of toy, and you wind it up and the teeth clacker, you know, they clack, 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 clack. All right. I think I've pushed the point hard enough, and you're probably tired of hearing me talk about how round the jaw is. Anyway, let's move on to the basic forms of the lips then. So the lips themselves are essentially 5 types of cylinders. Okay, let's just do a non-dynamic version, which is going to look crazy, and then we'll add a dynamic version. The non-dynamic version would probably look something like this. 1 cylinder there, 1 cylinder in the middle, this is the top lip, and then 1 cylinder here, and then the bottom lip would be 2 cylinders. one cylinder here, and one cylinder here. I'm just going to darken those cylinder front angles just so we get an idea of how the cylinders are connecting to each other, or how the cylinders face each other in a sense, actually. That's kind of a little bit too steep, more like that. All right. So we have these 5 cylinders. When we start making them more dynamic, we can then start thinking of what we typically know the lip shape to be. And so we'll use our dynamic type of cylinder shapes, bending the cylinders in this particular kind of way. Actually make this one a little bit pointier here. And these are essentially the fundamental structures that we want to have in mind when we're drawing the lips. I'm drawing this mouth quite open over here. Okay, and let's just duplicate this. And when we draw lines over this for the mouth, we're just going to do something very elementary here. We imagine those anatomical, very well-known sections over there, kind of just following the forms, connecting those two with a nice curve. And I'm sure you can see that form coming together, and there's kind of a little bump that happens here. And it's really following our opposing curves. Curve in that way, then that way, then that way, and then that way. All right. So those are the basic forms, right? So basic, dynamic, and a very, very rough skin surface level of the lips. And usually when you're drawing the mouth, you generally indicate the teeth, unless you want to go crazy and do some crazy kind of teeth. You generally indicate the teeth usually with just a line, and just remembering once again that curve shape. And I think I keep reinforcing it really because it's something ignored very often. Just remember that curved shape of the jaw and the mouth. All right. Let's go in, and I want to show you some shorthand techniques for getting this down relatively quickly in your work. So when we're drawing our head shape, just going to do our typical head again. It's a very rough version here. Get our mouth line in. Depending on the style you're drawing, of course, it may not always be necessary for you to draw in every single line of the lips, because when you look at a person's lips, generally speaking, apart from maybe they're wearing a very dark makeup or something like that, the lip value and the lip color tends to fade into the skin very softly. It doesn't have a very harsh edge. And so a common technique that is popular to do is to draw in the mouth line and then hint at the shadow of the bottom lip, just like that. All right, so that's one shorthand technique. Draw in the mouth line, hint at the shadow of the bottom. You can even hint at the indent of the top lip. Okay, and let's just do some very quick eyes here. And you get a very three-dimensional kind of look to the lips there, just by hinting the bottom shadow of the bottom lip, the mouth line, and then you can hint at the top lip as well. Sometimes you don't even need to do that. And when it comes to the mouth lines themselves, based once again on the style that you want to do, you may want to remember those 3 forms that kind of make up the lips, and those 3 forms then affect the mouth line, which gives us these kind of little indentation lines, very much like that. That would be the front view. And so when you're drawing lips, to imply or add in those little indentation lines, and it give you kind of more of a realistic looking lip. Okay. If you want to open it, you can just simply draw in, considering the perspective, draw in a space with the lip open, and in this instance I'll have to move that shadow line because the mouth position is moved, the jaw position is moved slightly, and you get a very 3D look. And this is a shorthand that I use all the time. I really just draw in the top lip line very much like this. So there's me using those line forms, those line shapes, draw in that shape. Maybe open the mouth a little bit, put in the bottom shadow, and you can see how quickly you can have a very convincing mouth, right? A very believable mouth and very believable lips. You can add a gloss as well, just a little highlight for some fun. And finally, and something we're going to touch on in much more depth in the facial expressions and emotions module, is the corners of the mouth are very important. Depending on the direction that you face them and what you do with them, you can indicate different types of expressions. We'll get into this more detail, but try not to leave them out when you're drawing lips. Kind of just put little dark dots there. It just gives the lips more of a realistic look. And last but not least, you can, if you really want to, you can draw in the lip lines, just connecting those areas that you've drawn. And certain styles really do call for the lips to be drawn very explicitly, that you can see the full shape of the lips, just like that. All right. And always try to, as well, as a last tip, try to keep the main lip line, so the line of the top lip or the bottom of the top lip, the darkest line. And it helps people really see that lip shape nicely, leaving the others lighter. They can see the expression in the mouth. All right, and in a nutshell, those are the basic forms of a lip. We added dynamism to them, and we looked at some shorthands. Let's move on.